Welcome to another SPbN production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network. St. Petersburg by Night is an online World of Darkness role-playing community originated in St. Petersburg, Florida, and now spreading to the world at large. My name is Kent, also known as Kent on all social media, and I will be your storyteller tonight. And it's Sunday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Red Tide Rising, our Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition chronicle set in the city of Tampa, Florida, where a young coterie of Anarch kindred, a quickly diminishing coterie of Anarch kindred, attempt to carve out a piece of the city for their very own while combating the threats of the Camarilla and the looming presence of Guru in the area. But before we get to all that, I'd like you to go follow St. Pete by Night on all of the social media you see down below. And if you really like what you see, join the Discord community by following that Discord link where you can join over 150 community members who love the world of darkness and love talking about it. So come join us today. And if you really, really, really like what you see, go sign up for the Ko-fi down below to help support this program, this channel, and this community. We offer all kinds of extras, including behind the scenes content like Rosebud Thorns, sneak peeks to early access to artwork, and merch discounts, and much, much more. So go sign up for the Ko-fi today. Now, of course, it would take a pretty impressive cast of characters to make this story possible. So let's go ahead and introduce those characters now. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves, if you please.
Howdy, howdy. My name's Ace, and I play Beau Walker, a Toreador.
And I'm Scott. I play Jeremiah the Malkavian. And the hurrier I go, the behinder I get.
Let's get everybody caught up as to where we are now, as we left on a very, very epic cliffhanger last week. But we saw Jeremiah finally get introduced to Beau's latest mistake, Bethany, their childer that they made on a lark after having shattered the Masquerade right in front of Doberman. So, you know, that definitely was another tick on Jeremiah's waning sanity when it comes to this particular coterie. But Jeremiah took it upon himself to help be a good stepdad and try and tell Bethany as much as humanly possible about what it is to be a kindred and what to expect going forward. They also gave Bethany a potential way out of this life by offering to essentially off them but they said that they could not stand the thought of leaving Beau by themselves in this existence. Now, was that due to the blood bond that a fresh childer and sire share, or is it something deeper? Only time can tell. Beau wasn't done yet, though, because then they took Bethany out to meet Vesper, and in a turn of events, made a very, very important and brave transition with Vesper's care that was also extremely painful and excruciating to experience, but all of it was worth it because Beau finally felt comfortable in their own skin once all was said and done. But as is often the mistake with young kindred, they forgot to ask what the price would be for such a transition, and it turns out the price is a kindred, and it was almost Bethany if Beau had been a little bit less humane, but they agreed that they would deliver a kindred to Vesper within one cycle of the moon, aka 1 month. So how they're going to procure this kindred, how they're going to bring them to Vesper, and will they be able to do it in enough time? Only time will truly tell. Then after the break, Jeremiah met the Malkavian autarchist known as Al or Alexei, the owner of the New Asylum nightclub over in Pinellas County. It was a very respectful meeting between the two, despite Al's very kind of off the scope personality and Jeremiah's more grounded personality. They were able to find some common ground, and in an unexpected turn of events, Jeremiah was introduced to Jeanette Vorman via FaceTime call. Jeanette and Alexei apparently sharing a bond and being on a first name basis and phone call with each other. And this allowed Jeremiah to get a little bit further connected into the web of intrigue that makes up the Malkavian clan, and possibly some very, very useful allies moving forward into the future. And then finally, Jeremiah, Beau, and Bethany went to the funeral home of Antonio Giovanni, where they were given a task to pay off the debt they had of having disposed of yet another body in the form of Jimmy Ricky, what's his name? And now they were sent to a cemetery, an ancient corner of a cemetery once belonging to immigrants who had passed away in the Ybor City region. And this is where they found out that the ghosts had gone missing. The spirits of the cemetery had been disappearing. It was only then that they encountered one last spirit who told them a foreboding warning about the boat and the White Reaper who had been taking the spirits away from the graveyard. Just before they could ask any more questions, however, a spectral hook came out of nowhere and hauled that spirit away. So we're going to pick up exactly where we left off in the cemetery, moments after the ghost disappeared. As previously said, our scene begins where it left off, in the cemetery, where a spirit of what seemed to be a immigrant woman from the early 1900s, maybe, disappeared after a hook came out of nowhere and dragged them away into darkness and out of view. I would like both of you to make me a wits and awareness roll to kick things off. Two successes for Jeremiah. Two successes for Beau. So as that hook comes out of nowhere and drags this spectral woman away, you get the briefest glimpse of a flash of white out of the corner of your eye, but you are not able to make out any distinct details with only two successes before the flash of white is gone. As your eyes go to find it, there's just nothing there. and the cemetery falls into a very quiet, empty feeling once more. No hair standing up on the back of your neck, no goose flesh covering your otherwise dead skin, just nothingness, emptiness. The scene is yours.
Did you see where it went?
No, I didn't catch it. Did you? I'm
No.
assuming by. Shit. Did you see Beth?
What was that?
Ghost. Dealing with ghost stuff.
Ghosts are real too?
If you can think about it, and if it's been in one of the spooky movies, it's probably real.
Beau, you didn't tell me there were also ghosts.
I didn't know ghosts for real.
You really got to work on this education if you're going to be making any more of us.
I didn't plan on making you.
Okay, so ghosts are real. Is there anything else I should be aware of before I go stumbling into something problematic?
Try not to stumble into things.
Okay.
We've had a problem with that in the past.
I didn't see anything. They were just here and then they were gone.
All right, well, they could hear us before. Let's try again. And he'll close his eyes and speak out. Spirit, we mean you no harm. We wish to speak with you to see if we can help one another.
There's a long, lingering pause. And just silence. Bethany looks around, wide-eyed. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe she points to the disturbed graves. Maybe there's a clue in there.
Great. Jeremiah will roll up his sleeves.
Wait, I think I saw a shed closer to the entrance. Maybe there's shovels or supplies or something like that. Don't need to be dirtying yourself up unnecessarily.
Once again, pulling your weight. Good sign.
I'm trying.
I'll stay here and keep an eye open. One of the two of you go grab the stuff.
I'll go and grab them. Beau will walk off towards the shed.
So as you head off looking for the shed, go ahead and give me a wits and investigation, Beau, as you're searching around. Bethany saw the shed, but you weren't necessarily paying close attention to your surroundings when you first got here to notice where it is. But Jeremiah, this leaves you and Bethany alone by the gravesite. Bethany has a very distracted look in her eye, as if her mind is elsewhere, as if it's wandering slightly as she stares at the grave and then just looks around the surroundings. Roll me a wits and insight, if you would.
Two successes.
Distracted is just basically the best way to put it. There's an obvious kind of split in their focus and their attention, but as to what the source of it is or what the cause of it is, It's hard to say.
I'm gonna stay still for a moment and then very suddenly like move my hand towards her and snap my fingers. Say, hey, Bethany, we need to lock in right now.
Okay.
There's something distracting you. There's something going on. I actually have some pretty good experience with that.
Well, there's a lot going on. I think that's much as obvious, but I just hungry. I don't know. I'm always hungry.
Yeah. That's something that you're probably going to need to get used to.
Okay.
The hunger doesn't go away unless you do something very specific and very dangerous.
What?
Remember when I said that you do this long enough and you will become a murderer?
You have to kill people?
Drink them to their heart stops. That's the only way to quiet it down, and it doesn't last. Every night, you might dip back into the hunger just by waking up. I need you to listen to me really hard here. I know it doesn't feel good. I know it is a hunger unlike anything you've experienced in your breathing days. But when you start, every time it becomes easier, and every time you become less and less yourself, and more of that hunger will drive you. Do you understand me?
I think so. I feel like there's this voice in the back of my mind that just keeps clawing at me, telling me that I need to eat, I need more,
We call that the beast. And it is your greatest enemy. Because it's always there. Even if you shut it up for a night, or maybe two, it's still there. The more you give into it, the more you feed it what it truly wants, that last drop, the more it takes over, and the less you are here.
Jeremiah, are we damned? Is that the devil talking?
I don't know about God or the devil or souls or damnation. I don't know about any of that. I stopped believing in that a while ago. I never really believed in it. It was my parents telling me what to believe, but clearly we do not live in a purely material universe. There is the supernatural. We're walking examples of that.
It's hard not to think about it now that you're experiencing ghosts and voices, and never liked cemeteries, to be honest.
I did in college. Used to sneak out, go to Oakland. But anyway, like I said, it'll only go away when you become a killer. And if that doesn't dissuade you, I promise you, if I find out that that's happened, let's be honest with ourselves, when I find out that that's happened, it's only a matter of time. That doesn't mean go rushing into it.
No, of course not.
I do. I'm going to make your life hell to drive the point home. And I don't do this because I'm mean or because I hate you, but because it is the most dangerous thing you can do.
Roll me a manipulation and intimidation.
Okay. I'm gonna surge for that. No, don't get hungrier. Four successes.
Okay. You see her cow slightly under your very intense gaze and words. I understand. Don't worry about me. I'm here. I'm focused.
Good.
Beau, what'd you get on that investigation check? Three successes. Okay, it doesn't take too long. It's pretty obvious how to tell the difference between like an entombed sanctuary and a storage closet. So after a little bit of poking around, a little bit of wandering, you do eventually find a shed that seems to be around back the office building where they probably do a lot of the paperwork of selling of sites and the like, but it is seeming to be a groundskeeper shed. Unfortunately, there is a lock, a combination lock seeming to be hanging from the door handles itself, holding it shut. How would you like to proceed?
Trying to just input a bunch of different codes is going to take forever. I guess try to break the lock.
Okay. Give me a strength and athletics as you grip the lock in both of your hands.
One success.
You give it a twist and try to jostle it, and nothing happens.
There doesn't have to be like any notes hidden nearby that might have the code on it.
Not outside, no. It'd probably be in the administration building, if anything.
Yep.
Now, I will say that there is a little shed window that you could potentially break, but that will give obvious evidence that the place was tampered with.
Yeah.
Now, breaking the lock probably would have also been obvious evidence, but
A little less loud in case anybody else is in the graveyard currently.
this time of night, definitely not. Hopefully not.
Yeah. Beau will go back to the group. So I found the shed. It's locked.
Well, Bethany, you've popped one lock tonight.
I
Let's
can
go.
try.
All right. Jeremiah will tag in with Beau. You stay here. We'll go there.
All right.
So as the two of you head over to the shed, as soon as you approach the doors, Bethany looks at the combination lock, furrows her brow a little bit. I know how these work. I'll give it a shot.
Hold on. Wait. Take a moment. Close your eyes. Imagine your senses opening, widening. Hear the little sounds on the edge of your perception grow louder and louder and louder. Feel your fingers grow more sensitive. Like blow over her fingers. You have the sight. use it.
Okay. Keeping her eyes closed, she grips the combination lock and puts her fingers to the rotating mechanism. You can see, keeping her eyes closed as she twists the lock, occasionally her head will like twitch a little bit or jerk at certain moments, but after 3 turns to the right, the turning slows. Tick, 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 till it stops. Then she starts turning to the left. Once around. Tick, 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 stops. And then finally she turns to the right once more, very slowly, not making a full rotation this time, till the lock disengages.
Not all bad.
That was weird. Like I could almost feel each individual tooth before it settled. Anyway, she takes the combination lock off of the chain that seems to be wrapped around the handles and pulls it out before opening the doors. Inside, there's obviously a large lawnmower, a large riding lawnmower meant for taking care of most of the grass, as well as fertilizer and seed in these big bags that seem to be stacked off to one side. And of course, there are rakes, shovels, everything you could possibly need for at least basic lawn maintenance. There's probably another garage somewhere that carries an earth mover, but this seems to be a primarily just landscaping shed. She steps in and grabs 3 shovels before stepping out again. I'll make sure to remember to lock up before we leave.
Yeah.
She hands you one of the shovels and then carries the other 2 as you return back to Beau. Bethany hands you a shovel, Beau, as they arrive. I think, Beau, we have what we need. Should we each take a grave, or should we team up on one?
Let's team up on one. We'll hopefully find 3 eyes on the ground might see something quicker.
All right. So go ahead and make a strength and athletics roll. Actually, let's make it stamina and athletics, because digging is more of a waiting game, a stamina game, than it is a strength game right out the gate.
Would I argue agriculture for knowing how to effectively dig without using as much energy?
Sure. Now, if you'd like, since this is a group activity, one of you can assist the other. I will also say Bethany will give an assistance die as well. So, Beau, if you want to make the roll with 2 additional die, you could. Since you're all working on the same grave.
4 successes.
Okay. So obviously it still takes time, but it would take significantly less time than if one mortal or a handful of mortals were to do it, where they'd probably have to take breaks. But being the restless undead that you are able to make pretty quick work of this particular grave, of taking maybe 40 minutes, I would say, at best, to get the full 6 feet down, at which point you eventually hear that thunk of the shovel hitting a casket. Now, these caskets are old, very, very old. And the earth was surprisingly brittle, as if having been unearthed not that long ago. But as you have dug down deep enough, finding that the casket actually wasn't even the full 6 feet down, it looks like it was only about 4 feet down in this case, you find the large wooden box No locks or latches to be seen. As you prepare to open it, Bethany's hand almost immediately moves to her nose and mouth to block out the obvious stench that comes from the casket. Now, it's been a long time, so a good majority of it is settled, but that smell, it clings. That smell of death clings pretty hard. And for someone who has extremely heightened senses, like Bethany seems to, it is still very potent and obvious. But as you open up the casket, you see skeletal remains dressed in tattered formal wear of a long bygone era. It's not fancy formal wear. This definitely looks probably pretty cheap for the era it comes from, but it's the nicest they could clearly afford. I need both of you to make me wits and investigation checks.
Four.
Yeah.
1.
All right. So, Jeremiah, as you're looking over the remains, almost immediately, one thing pops out to you instantly. They are missing a section of their arm bones and one of their fingers. Like, the arm is placed as it should be, but it looks like the section of arm that goes between the elbow and the wrist is completely gone. Removed, as is one of the fingers. Now, the finger could have been taken off by accident, but for the arm to be missing entirely with a clean precision of removal, almost a surgical precision, it is missing. The other thing that you find is coins within the grave. They look unlike anything, any kind of natural money, any kind of, even for the time period it comes from, it doesn't look like any kind of currency that you can recognize. However, you could make an intelligence and occult check.
That'll just be pure intelligence. Four successes, but it's a messy critical.
Okay. Let's look at what you are going to suffer from in terms of a compulsion. So I will say that what you are able to ascertain from these coins is that they are much, much older than the time period from which this body seems to have been buried in. But also, the coins aren't bearing any kind of wear and tear as if they'd been buried with the body. They're still in fairly good condition. They haven't accrued a lot of rust or markings on them. They do seem like they possibly could have been placed within the last 100 years, probably, but this body has been buried longer than that. I will say, as far as your compulsion, you are going to begin to suffer paranoia. So paranoia says the vampire tries to disengage from any perceived threat, suspecting anyone and anything. Any action not taken toward that immediate end incurs a 2 dice penalty. The compulsion ends when the vampire has spent roughly an hour in a safe spot.
This is too much. We're playing with fire here. He's gonna, as he's like looking over the coins, he's gonna say, "This should be enough," and he's gonna pocket them and start climbing out of the grave.
Okay. Bethany looks at you and then at Beau. All right. She starts shoveling dirt back on the grave once more. Do you stay around to assist Jeremiah, or do you take off?
No, he's gonna go back to the car and just kind of get in the car, kind of get down, like behind one of the front seats, and kind of pull a Gollum with these coins, just playing with them in his hand, just really kind of hyper focusing on them.
As you're staring at the coins, looking at their old shape, looking at the very strange insignias upon them, roll me a wits and insight. Now, this will still suffer the 2 dice penalty because you are not considered safe yet, but as your brain starts to like run over the possibilities of what this could mean.
I'll go ahead and surge then. But I do get hungrier. Okay. Two successes.
Okay, yeah, you have no idea. You're trying so hard.
I'm gonna willpower that.
Okay.
3.
Still can't really put together exactly what the purpose of is. Now, you know that coins have a lot of occult-esque use, that they are used to quote-unquote pay off the ferryman, although that's kind of an older philosophy and definitely not an American philosophy or even a Latin kind of Cuban philosophy, which this immigrant graveyard seems to primarily be, based out of, is Mexico, Cuba, the more Latin American countries. So maybe, but probably not. It's hard to say. They weren't placed upon the eyes, which is the usual place they would be placed if that was the purpose of it. No, this is something else, something creepy and odd and off, and you almost can't help but picture the eye sockets of where eyes used to be on that skull, as if they were staring at you, even as you opened their casket, which is not a good thing necessarily. And what did you unleash with that? But had it already been unleashed, or is it unleashed now? Meanwhile, Beau, what are you doing?
Beau is helping Bethany put the dirt back on top. Once all of it's in, they'll press it down, make sure it's nice and as flat as possible. Think we should check another one?
I mean, good. We might as well. We're here. We got the tools and everything. Is he always like that?
He doesn't get like that very often, but when he does, it's usually good reason.
Okay. So go ahead and make the dig roll again, the stamina and agriculture. It's only a 1 die bonus this time because Jeremiah is not there to assist.
Two successes.
Okay. This time takes a lot longer than the last time, with only 2 hands to make the work go. It takes some time, but eventually you do again hear the thud of the shovel hitting another box. And as you go to open this box, you can see that they're wearing a very cape suit on these remains, same skeletal figure. Go ahead and roll me another investigation check. You could also potentially roll me intelligence and medicine as well. Whichever of those two is better.
Going with investigation. Oh, nope, never mind. We're going with medicine.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 successes.
Yeah. It doesn't take very long for you to notice that this skeleton is missing a femur. That seems to also have been cut with a surgical precision, removed entirely and cleanly from the body. Again, this was a full leg, very clearly, as you can see the lower, shin bone. You can see the foot attached. So this person wasn't missing a leg, but this femur has been completely dissected and removed from the body. You also notice a little bit of white wax clung to the side of the box, as if it had dripped down and dried along the side of the box.
Are the same coins from the last box in there as well?
Not that you can see.
Okay.
If you want to roll an investigation, you can see if you can look for those specifically. But because you rolled medicine, I will say you were focused primarily on the physical structure than any additional items.
Yep. Two successes.
2 successes. Okay. I will say with the incentive given that something was found in the last box, you look a little bit harder and indeed do find another set of these coins. If you would like, you could try and roll an intelligence and occult.
One success.
No idea. Just a couple of old coins.
Okay. We'll pick them up and pocket them. Take a little bit of the white wax off the box and also put that in our pocket and then climb out.
Closing the coffin once more, shoveling the dirt back on. It's getting late, to say the very least. And now, as summer is creeping closer, dawn comes earlier, and you're pretty sure you have enough time to leave, probably get back to the bar, and maybe have like half an hour, if things go well, before dawn will hit. So as you finish patting down the dirt, you walk with Bethany towards the shed, putting the shovels back, closing the doors, reattaching the lock before heading towards the vehicle, where you see Jeremiah is huddled down in the back seat. Jeremiah, I will say this is not a safe enough place for the compulsion to go away. You would need to be somewhere like your haven, well, maybe not your haven, but a haven or the home base. You are still out on the street, out in front of potential eyes. It's a lot to take in still. But Bethany and Beau climb into the vehicle, into the van. What do you do? Or I should say, where are you headed?
Scott, I see you talking. We can't hear you.
Damn it. Back to the bar. We need to go back to the bar. We need to get our bearings. This is too much.
Yeah, I'll get us back. Beau will turn on the car and start driving.
Takes only about 20-25 minutes for you to get back to the bar. Sky hasn't quite started to change hue yet, but you think you see on the very, very far horizon the beginnings of purplish, almost light starting to appear. You've got probably a good hour before the time will come that you have to be asleep or your body will just give up and fall over where you stand. But you have arrived safely at the bar with more questions than answers in regards to what you're doing. But now is the time for any of you to say anything you wish to say before going to your day's rest.
Found the same coins in a second one and some wax on the side of the box.
Okay, we'll need to... I think probably our best bet is to go back to funeral home soon, bring these to him, and maybe he can give us a bit more guidance on next steps.
Yeah. That might be best. Given how late it is, might be best if you stay here, if you...
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, I'm good here.
Okay. Alright, I'll get everyone set up in their little sleeping areas, and you can take the bed up in the apartment. I'll make a space for Bethany and I.
You know what? I'll just get into the bathroom. That's fine.
Sure?
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's not like I'm gonna feel it or care. Sweet nothingness. Yeah, that'll be good.
Fair enough. Alright, let's get settled in for the night.
Okay. So as you find your space, Jeremiah probably climbing into the bathtub to lay out, shutting the curtain, making sure that the door is locked, double locked. You fall into that blissful nothingness. However, it doesn't come easy to you, Jeremiah, at first, because when you're asleep, you're vulnerable, but it will not be denied unless you really actively force yourself. And I wouldn't say you're that far gone to do that. You do eventually drift off into the void of death. Beau, as you get Bethany settled into a space, this being the first night that they are actively going to sleep rather than just dying, she looks to you. Could we maybe find something to eat when we wake?
Yeah, I'll make sure we get something to eat before we go back out in the morning, evening.
Okay. Is it always gonna be like this?
Like this? Oh, the ghosts and everything?
Trolling graveyards and visiting very creepy individuals, and is there any sense of normalcy in this existence?
There can be. Though you do kind of get used to the weirdness of it. You forget what it's like to be new to all this.
I don't know how anyone could get used to this, but I'll take your word for it. She nervously settles in, closing her eyes. And before long, that pallor washes over her. She stops moving, and as you see light starting to rim the edge of the curtained off, blacked out windows, you also head to rest. So I'm going to ask you both, as you fall asleep, what's going through your minds?
In addition to the stream of paranoid thoughts, I think the dominant thought in Jeremiah's mind is that he really misses August. This would have been probably a lot easier if he were here.
Beau?
As Beau drifts off, their worry for their sister stays. There's the remembering what it's like, trying to remember what it was like when they first turned, trying to remember the main lessons the first few days that Talia had imparted on them. And there's the concern of there's the brief thought of, was this the right choice right before they go into torpor?
So as you drift off, we transition to the next evening. As our next evening begins, you wake. Go ahead and make your rouse checks to awaken.
I do not get hungrier for waking.
But
I get hungrier for it.
okay, so Jeremiah, as you awaken, you find that your eyes don't shoot open with that same anxiety or paranoia. Everything's fine. Darkness covers the bathroom. Everything is as it was when you fell asleep. Still feel those coins in your pocket. Nothing's changed. Everything is well.
Good.
Beau, as you awaken, you feel that pit in your stomach grow deeper and wider. You feel that cloying, burning at the back of your throat. That tingling at the back of your skull. What hunger are you at, Beau? 3. So it's a fairly intense cloying in your mind. As you awaken and look around, you can see, almost like a puppy needing to be let outside, Bethany is already standing up by the door, watching, waiting, kind of nervously pacing by the door. And you can see that she is also still pale, maybe even a little more so. Jeremiah, you emerge from the bathroom to find your 2 companions awake and waiting.
All right, how are we feeling? Yeah. I'm good for right now, I think. I mean, I could eat, but suppose we should all right, let's think this through. I could go by myself. You guys could take care of your rumbly tummies. You think you're good for that?
You want to go over? It'd be great to see you the second time. Yeah. A little bit more.
think I can handle the conversation with Giovanni. Up to you. I mean, I think it's probably best to take care of that. We have the patrons, but that might be risky. You got your goats, right?
I've got my goats and got another horse that have but
Maybe you should take care of yourself, and then you can watch over Bethany while she gets that done.
so we into my pocket and pull out the bit of wax and the two pennies from Secretary and hand it over to Brandon.
Okay. So you have decided to split up. Beau, you've pulled out the coins and what wax you were able to find and pass it to Jeremiah, who's going to go see Antonio at the funeral home. But let's take care of the hunting first, as that is always a pressing affair. Beau, we'll start with you, since you have a particular predilection towards a certain diet. Do you wish to just use your herd to take care of your hunger?
Would likely start with the herd to get rid of those to get the hunger down. It is at hunger 4 currently.
Hunger 4, okay.
Yep.
So how many dots of herd do you have?
2.
Okay, so that'll get you down to hunger 2. You could stop there if you wanted to. 2 is still comfortable. It's not dangerous necessarily.
Yeah, but knowing how my rolls go, 2 is still fairly dangerous.
Okay. Do you wish to also hunt then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then go ahead and roll me your hunting check. Two successes. Okay. I will say, since you're already in an environment that works towards your hunting habits, being a farm, finding another thing to eat is not that difficult. And at 2 hunger, you're not nearly desperate, so you are able to feed. However, I need you to roll me a wits and awareness check, and that is going to be at a -2 dice because you are so distracted in trying to find food for yourself, trying to deal with this situation.
One success.
Okay. When you have an all-consuming need to feed and eat, it can really dampen your other senses. But once that need is fulfilled or satiated to a point that you can become more aware of your surroundings, sometimes it's not quick enough. And Beau, as you do become aware of your surroundings, Bethany is gone.
Yeah. Beth, where are you?
So you look around the field and the stables. There's no immediate response. But then you hear a scream that is immediately cut short, coming from the farmhouse nearby.
Mother, there it goes. We're gonna go rush to see what it is.
Okay. As you reach the farmhouse, you can see that the back porch door is open. And inside, the smell of blood is very, very thick. As you enter into the kitchen, you find strewn on the floor 2 adult bodies. One of them is in Bethany's grasp, the last bits of life draining from their face. The other one is long dead. Bethany is clinging to this individual before dropping them to the side and reaching up and grabbing their frizzled hair in their hands. Why won't it stop? Why? Why?
What do you mean? Why won't it stop?
It's not enough. It's never enough. Why is it not enough?
That can't be right. It's not. You killed 2 people, Beth. That should be enough to satiate it completely.
Don't you think I know? He told me if I stopped, if one of them died, that would be enough. But it's not enough.
Okay. You helping me get rid of these bodies?
Give me a charisma and persuasion check. You can use beauty.
I would also like to activate off.
Okay.
That is 6 successes.
Okay. She looks at you as if to protest, but eventually just nods her head in agreement and goes to lift up the body that she had just dropped in both of her arms. Fortunately for you, there isn't a lot of farmland within your coteries territory, within Solomon's territory. You have to go a little bit further out, a little farther east in order to do so. So the odds of this potentially violating the treaty, as long as it's not linked back to you, are low. And a quick disposal should hopefully do it. So go ahead and make me a wits and survival or investigation check.
We will search this. Five successes.
5 successes. As you scour the area looking for any solution to this particular problem, one of the benefits of being on farmland is that they have to use a variety of resources, and this particular farm happens to have an incinerator. Now, working with an incinerator as a kindred is a very dangerous affair, as you have a natural fear of fire. So go ahead and roll me a composure and resolve check.
3 successes.
Okay. That is enough for you not to immediately flee at the idea of flames or starting up the incinerator. It's not a comfortable affair, and the beast inside of you just shrinks away from the idea, trying to pull you away from the incinerator, but you have enough self-control to keep it in check as you load up the corpses into the incinerator before firing it up and burning them away. That smell of burning flesh and bone and sinew hits you immediately, and it makes your stomach roil, not in a good way. That smell is repulsive even to kindred, because burnt flesh doesn't usually contain blood. It's not good, and you wouldn't feast upon it. In fact, this is really when your humanity, your human side takes over and almost gets nauseous at the idea of that smell. But the bodies are disposed of. Eventually. Burning a corpse isn't an immediate action, so it's going to take you a good few hours for that to happen. And that being said, we're going to transition over to Jeremiah. Jeremiah, you arrive at the funeral home, and it is, as it often is, quiet as the grave when you arrive. But going through the process of ringing the doorbell, you're brought in by Antonio Giovanni, who takes you into his office. He actually pauses a moment by the door as he lets you in to look to see if your companions are with you, but then realizing they're not, closes the door and leads you towards the office. As you enter, he closes the door behind you and gestures for you to sit in one of those wooden chairs by the desk before taking his seat behind it and steepling his fingers in front of him. What were you able to find?
Jeremiah is going to very sort of procedurally walk through the events at the graveyard. The only time he changes the truth is his moment of paranoia. He just sort of incorporates that, and we then found he will put in 2 separate piles the coins from the one and the coins and the wax from the other.
Roll me a manipulation and subterfuge as you are leaving a part out of the story.
Three successes.
Okay. As you present the items, Antonio pulls them towards him and starts examining them very carefully, picks up one of the coins and looks over it in his hand. He then furrows his brow in thought and consideration. Range. We could perhaps be dealing with another practitioner of the necromantic arts. These coins, they aren't used in the traditional method of safe passage, the land of the dead. No, these coins are used to trap souls.
Well, that's disturbing.
Indeed. Could be that we have a collector on our hands. Though it doesn't quite match up with what you said about the ferryman and the reaping. I may have a potential lead for you to follow. There is an old church, abandoned, long abandoned, yet not quite torn down, not that far from the cemetery. This would have been the church that services were performed for these deceased. Perhaps with a little bit of insight and investigation, you can find out if it has any link to these events. If a practitioner were to be collecting or keeping souls, they would have to stay nearby.
All right. That does sound like a promising place to start, at least. So this practitioner, they wouldn't be of your, at least to your knowledge, of your family?
Not that I'm aware of. There haven't been any in the region for quite some time. As I said, there are some across the bridge, but they do not venture this way.
Well, pardon my ignorance. Yours is the only line that I know who has that reputation.
Unless one got access to our blood, and therefore our secrets.
True enough.
But I don't believe we are dealing with a kindred, or if we were, they would have to be a very powerful.
Oh. I've heard very little about the magic of mortals, I think is how you put it.
The namers, the shapers.
Do you think that's what we're dealing with?
I suppose it's possible. Could also be that we are working with an extremely powerful and disturbed spirit.
Yes, that would match what we saw.
If it is the business of namers and shapers, then this has gotten far more complicated and problematic. So I'm going to hope that you find evidence to the contrary.
As do I. I want to delay my encounter with that sort of thing for as long as possible. But if it is a spirit, is there any advice you can give me about treating with it? Perhaps cajoling or convincing it to come your way?
Most spirits remain because of unfinished business. If you can find out the source of their unfinished business, you could potentially put them to rest by finalizing it. However, it is not often that spirits dwell in each other's affairs, not this directly and not this violently. This could be a very malevolent spirit, in which case you would have to dispose of it.
I do not know. I would not begin to know how to go about doing that.
Fortunately, I can tell you. There are certain anchors, we call them fetters, that bind the dead to this world. Attachments, if you will. You can learn what this particular spirit's attachments are. If they were to be destroyed, it would loosen their anchor. It would release them to the land of the dead. They would not be able to find their way back. Perhaps this church or this cemetery or both contain such fetters. They would be items of significance, of import, and if they are a powerful spirit, they would do the best they can to safeguard it.
Would the sight show them for what they are?
It could. There would be a resonance from it, although it would take a more advanced version of the sight be able to detect it. The kind that gives off resonance or aura.
I see. Not quite that advanced yet.
If you find an item that you believe to be of significance, you can bring it here, and I will be able to tell you whether it is a fetter or not. These, okay. He looks at the coins and the wax, are not.
I see. All right, then. Unless there's anything else you can tell me that might assist me in this task, I think best to get to it then.
Yes, that is all I have for now. But if you have further questions, he reaches over and grabs a business card and puts it down in front of you. You may give me a call.
Excellent. I will do so. Definitely want to get this resolved for you as soon as possible.
That would be my preference also, yes.
Well then, hopefully we'll see you later tonight then.
I hope so as well. Jeremiah, as you depart, roll me a wits and insight check.
Three successes.
You get the feeling that he's not saying everything. He's definitely holding something back, especially as it pertains to the coins and the items. Mm-hmm. He was very quick to kind of dismiss any importance to them.
I'll say those coins certainly are odd. I examined them fairly thoroughly. Not a fetter, you say, but is there anything else you can tell me about them?
They are not of my clan. Not the usual implements that we would use. They are old, archaic, certainly, and do have some occult value. But they are not typical implements of use in these types of situations.
I see. Well, and I'll say, I suppose I can just leave you with them with you for now, and well, perhaps when this whole affair is over, your generosity can be enhanced.
We'll see if there's any relevance to them, or if they can be yielding of any more information. But if you take care of my problem, you do not need to worry about my generosity.
Very well. See you soon.
As you go to depart the funeral home, you haven't received any word from Beau or Bethany or Doberman or anyone. Now, you haven't also been here that long, and feeding can take minutes to hours depending on the situation, and you know that due to Beau's predilections. They can either eat neighborhood stray cats and squirrels, or they have to go a little bit further out. But as you depart, what would you like to do?
I will text Beau and Doberman the address to the church. Give them any real details. Otherwise, I would basically say, looks like this is the next step.
Okay. Beau gives Doberman gives a very one-word response of understood. Oh, you receive a text message. It's probably going to still be another couple of hours before any remains are completely destroyed at this point.
Beau will text Jeremiah. All right. Hopefully this shouldn't take more than a couple hours, but we'll meet you there if it's not too late.
Thumbs up emoji.
Okay. So Jeremiah, you could proceed to the church alone if you would like. Or you could put this off a little longer in hopes of having more hands, because from the looks of it, you're dealing with something powerful.
Yeah.
And you're not necessarily fully equipped to handle such things.
Fortunately, I can't. I was going to say that I can't think of anyone who would be particularly helpful in this matter. But that's a lie, because I can think of someone who might have some power to levy in this direction.
And who is that?
That is a very dangerous call to make. Athame.
Okay. Would you like to make that call?
You know what? We're going to leave it to a roll of the die.
Okay.
Success, I don't. Failure, I do. Success.
Okay.
No. Too dangerous. Too risky.
So how do you wish to proceed?
He's going to head to the church and wait for either Beau or Doberman to show up before going in.
Okay. I will say Doberman would be the first to arrive, pulling up in the same nondescript town car that he is often seen driving when not on a specific job. He would pull up, climb out of the car, and approach. He's dressed down a little bit more for the situation, seeming to wear a sweater and black pants, black jeans or possibly cargo pants, almost military gear as he approaches. You can see that he actually has a little bit of wear and tear on his face, as if he's been in a fight recently, but doesn't seem to be making any mention of it or any big deal about it. You can see that his fists have a little bit of damage to them on the knuckles.
I will chalk that up as his business.
As you stand outside of this ancient building, you can see that it has sustained a great deal of damage. A section of the roof is completely collapsed. It's a surprise, honestly, that after all these years that it hasn't been bulldozed based off of the state of it. But you can see that it is fenced off with no trespassing signs. Maybe there's some sort of debate about it being a historical structure that's going on. Something is tying it up from being removed. It is definitely an eyesore, but its positioning is away enough that it doesn't seem to be on the direct main drag. But a place like this shouldn't be here still, with the constant ever developing evolution of the area. But based off of its position, very nestled up against the cemetery, it's possible that it could be preserved somehow. Something is keeping it here, that they haven't gotten rid of it yet. Doberman looks over the structure and then looks at you almost in a, what the fuck do you expect me to do look.
We are on the edge of weirdness here, my friend. I've got some advice. I've got some protocols to follow to try and poke around, but this could get dangerous. So just watch my back.
Understood. As you cross the fence line, probably just climbing over, no check required, as it's just a typical chain link fence. You approach the building, and there are plenty of ways to enter in based off of the holes of the collapsed walls. And as you get inside, you can see the remains of rotting pews, salt circles, and hundreds of names carved into the walls of the church. Recent activity has taken place here. Someone has been conducting rituals in this building. But it's hard to say what and how and who based off of your lack of occult knowledge. And this is very archaic activity that's taking place here. As you look around, go ahead and roll me a wits and investigation.
Bringing up my heightened senses.
Yes, you can add your aspects to it.
5 successes.
As you're looking about, you manage to find underneath one of the rotted pews a journal. As you pick up the journal and start to read through it, you find that it belongs to a dead occultist, possibly a local practitioner of dark arts, maybe somebody who's started dabbling with things that they don't entirely understand. But as you're reading through, you come to learn that a former medium accidentally contacted something in the Shadowlands. Not a ghost, not a wraith, something older. A psychopomp. A being that shepherds souls. This medium attempted to bind it, but instead, he ended up breaking the barrier between the worlds.
Jeremiah will just sort of be reading it through it and say, fuck.
What's going on?
Looks like an occultist, a medium of sort, found something. Powerful spirit of the dead. Tried to bind it and opened a gate instead.
Doberman pinches his nose. Yeah. You know this is beyond our pay grade.
Well aware. all of this is going on Talia's tab. Take it out of her ass.
How do you want to proceed?
He says, well, this might be what we're looking for, but we need to look for things hidden and significant.
You do find in the journal, tucked near the back, beyond the pages of writing, what looks to be a folded up, torn off section of a basic atlas or map. And the section itself points towards the dock area, not too far from Ybor. Not quite where they do cruises or anything like that, but more of the shipping docks. The port of Tampa, as it were. But this looks to be one of the older ports, not the currently up and running active port that is responsible for a lot of the export and import of the region, maybe the entire country.
I'll show it to Doberman. Maybe in another place to look.
Perhaps.
But we should give this place another once over just to see if there's anything worth seeing, finding.
I agree, but let's make it quick. I don't want to spend more time here than we have to. It skeeves me out.
Big same. Yeah, I'm gonna take another look, and also bring up Sense the Unseen.
Okay. Roll me a... Let's go with another Wits and Investigation. Or actually, there's a roll for Sense the Unseen. Let me see what that is.
I think it's Resolve Aspects.
Okay, yeah, roll me a Resolve and Aspects then.
I'm gonna surge. Get hungrier. Might need to eat after this. Ooh. 3 successes.
Okay. As you look about the area, there's nothing obvious that pops out. Nothing stands out as spectral. You can maybe see a little bit of residue from obvious ritualistic magic that took place here some time ago, but nothing really pops for you in anything or in any capacity that is off-putting or stands out. It is still very empty, much like the cemetery. There's no presence here.
Okay. All right, I think, holds up the journal. I think this is what's here. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of a pit stop, and then we can meet here.
All right, we'll see you there. Go ahead and roll your hunting roll.
I think I'd like to just use my herd.
Okay. Then yeah, taking a pit stop to visit your herd. How many points of herd do you have?
2.
And how many hunger do you have?
I have 3, so I can take it down to...
You can go back to 1. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, your herd will be preserved or used up for the week.
Yep.
But having visited, at this point, Beau, the remains are taken care of. So when I assume Jeremiah texts you the address of the docks, you and Bethany are free to join them. When you reach the docks themselves, you find that they are, as previously described, old, but still in use, however, not active this particular evening. These are more probably private, smaller shipping companies that really only deal with their product, nothing too extravagant or intense. You're not seeing a lot of big ocean liners coming here. This is probably for shipping up the coastline or around the peninsula of the state over to like Louisiana and the like. But as you all come together in the parking lot outside of this particular shipping area, you feel like the temperature has dropped significantly, enough for it to be noticeable. Now, it is still Florida, and it's been hitting 80s at night here, low 80s, but right now it feels probably like it's in the low 70s, as opposed to just moments earlier before you arrived. It's enough one might overlook it as the breeze coming off of the Gulf, but it definitely doesn't feel that way as the wind is not overly active.
I'll, when we've kind of gotten into a huddle, I'll go over what I found at the church. This looks like the next stop on the goose chase.
Well, did it give any specifics about the dock? Or just here?
Did it?
Nope, just section of map.
Nope. Just pointed in this direction.
Oh, joy of joys.
Let's stick together. Keep our eyes open. See what we can see.
As you proceed into the docks, that feeling that's been missing all this time, that feeling of something unnerving, something extra, overwhelms you to such a degree that your undead flesh pimples at the thought of it. It almost makes you cold to your very core. It's not the temperature that changed, it's something inside of you. Could it be fear? An icy grip over your unbeating heart? As you near the docks, that feeling just intensifies more and more the closer you get. But to all of your current sight, you see nothing. Just the waves lapping up against the docks. The stillness of boats rocking. There's probably some security in the region, but no movement can be felt at the moment. They probably have a drive-by security guard who just makes sure there aren't kids fucking around or anybody breaking into things they shouldn't be. What do you do?
Taste the joint.
Okay. Roll me a wits and investigation. Both of you.
Can I get help from the three of them? Because I think I have the biggest pool for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So add three dice then.
Yes.
Eight successes.
As you're wandering along the docks, you don't see anything that seems out of place until you hit a certain point where it feels like you've stepped in an ice-cold bath. And in fact, it feels like your feet are wet and the hems of your pants are wet. But you are above land. You are on docks. The water is probably a good 3 or 4 feet below you. But you almost feel like you splash into something And as you do, the icy chill of it makes you recoil and pull back, stepping back a foot. And your feet feel numb, tingling, and almost painful. As you look up, almost unseen to the naked eye, you see there's almost like a wavering in your sight, almost like a disruption right in front of you. Your 8 successes allow you to tell that there is some sort of, where there would be a barrier, there is none here. That you're almost stepping into something that you're not supposed to step into, something you've been avoiding inherently by what you are.
I'll using that awareness, I'll try and like pace around it to try and find its boundary.
Now, as this is a new scene, your sense the unseen is not active. I will remind you of that.
Okay.
But as you pace the area, you see that there's almost like a distinct line that makes up the boundary. And it moves a little bit in and a little bit out. It's not a straight line. But it is a barrier of sorts. Or at least a marker, a border, not even a barrier, a border of sorts.
I will point it out to the others. If you can't feel it, there's a line here, a barrier, or something. I think we found our gate.
Do we go in?
I think before we do that, we should try and see if there's anything physical, anything that is keeping it open, or something that we can maybe try and close it from this side.
As you look about the area, still keeping the same amount of successes, you spend maybe 30, 40 minutes looking for any kind of markings, any kind of obvious signs, but there's nothing to be found.
All right. I'm going to close my eyes again and then reopen my sense the unseen.
Almost immediately, you are hit by a wall of sensations. You do not even need to roll, because even one success would be enough. As you see a literal river that seems geographically impossible running over the docks where that boundary line seems to be. The curves were the curves in the river. And upon the river, you see spectral boats seemingly slowly moving through a foggy haze. And on top of those boats are hundreds of spectral figures, souls. Among them are gangsters, sailors, immigrants, murder victims, even former kindred ghouls. I need you to roll me a wits and awareness.
Applying my aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 2 successes.
For a flash, you could swear you recognized somebody, but you couldn't. They're far too old. to tell who they are. And you quickly dismiss the idea as it's a sensory overload you're experiencing right now. But at the center of it all, upon a small rowboat, stands a man in white, wearing a pale white suit, funeral gloves, a featureless face beneath a wide-brimmed hat, and he carries a large silver boat hook.
Oh, shit.
What is it? What do you see?
A lot. Big river, lots of boats, lots of soul. And if that ain't a white ferryman in white, I don't know what is.
As he describes it, as if by choice of the ferryman, it all comes into view for you, Beau. The river, the boats, the hundreds of people, and the ferryman.
Guess we...
Are you the ferryman in white?
The debt is due.
You could be referring to many things. We've come to try and resolve whatever business you have. This opening obviously shouldn't be here. What can we do to help resolve your business?
Long have I been obstructed from my purpose. Those that have passed kept from me, kept from the beyond. The way has been opened, and I intend to collect what was stolen from me.
What was stolen from you?
The dead.
Who stole them from you?
I think you know.
Yeah, you probably do. We have obligations of our own.
What do you propose?
Is there a way to make some sort of arrangement? Perhaps those souls already touched by the blood.
I don't need your souls. They all come to the river eventually. I need the souls that belong here. The ones that have been pressed into service against their will.
You mean the ones that Giovanni have been using?
Yes. Or find souls to replace them.
How many are missing?
Thousands. He has been here for many years.
This is beyond our fucking pay grade.
Do we call them up?
You have choices. One, you walk away and allow me to continue my collection. Two, you attempt to stop me and potentially join my passengers. Or three, we negotiate.
Well, I can't think of any way to render thousands of souls. But I'm
I could
always
think-
up for a negotiation.
I could think of one, and they'll cast a side glance to Bethany, slightly annoyed, but I think a negotiation is a better choice.
Then what do you propose?
Is there some kind of roll I can make to try and think up of an option here?
Sure. I think a perfectly practical role for this would be intelligence and politics.
I can make that roll.
Would I assist with my speciality in deal making?
Sure.
All right, I surge, do not get hungrier. How many dice would that assistance add?
I would say one dice. They're the only ones with politics. Bethany and Doberman do not care for politics.
Fair. You know what? I'm just going to take it. That is 6 with a messy crit.
Okay, so here's basically how it shakes out. You could side with Antonio and fight the ferryman,
Mm-hmm.
at which point the collection would stop, albeit temporarily. 2, you could side with the ferryman and recover the souls that Antonio has, but you will likely make an enemy of Antonio in doing so. Or 3, a compromise. Maybe half. However, both sides will likely resent you to some degree. Maybe not to the point of being full-out enemies, but they will not think favorably of you for the compromise because both sides want everything. Antonio clearly wants to be rid of the ferryman so he can continue to collect and use the souls he has. The ferryman wants the souls to be released to cross the river into the Shadowlands where they belong. So either of them get everything or both of them get some. But you will definitely have to persuade both to take this deal.
Right. These nights are not getting any safer or more or less chaotic. I can talk the Giovanni into a compromise. Half.
You would let one possess that which does not belong to him. You would let those who have finally escaped subjugation to be subjugated once more.
Are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me that the other side of that river is all puppies and rainbows? I don't think we live in that kind of world.
And if I may interject, Mr. Ferryman, we cannot go up against the Giovanni. We don't have that kind of resources, and making an enemy of you is also very unwise. We are in a precarious situation and trying to assist both sides as best as possible.
Okay. So you can make a combined charisma and persuasion roll. Awe does not apply. Beauty does not apply. You are not dealing with a living thing that cares what you look like or can be swayed by your supernatural charm.
Right.
So one of you can assist the other to the tune of 1 die. Doberman and Bethany have nothing to contribute here. They are just dumbfounded by the whole situation. Bethany is still coming to terms with supernatural life.
What's your pull for that, Beau?
7 without the assistance.
You should make this roll. I'll chip in.
Gonna willpower that. Still only 2.
This is unacceptable. I would not see the dead become slaves. Trapped from their just reward.
Can I make an insight roll to see if he's being up about that whole reward thing? Jeremiah is very skeptical about anything working out people in this manner.
Yeah, give me a wits and insight.
Three successes.
As far as you can tell, he is telling the truth. Now, just reward could also mean consequences for your actions. It's what you deserve in his mind, and that is true.
Give us the wretched. The ones who will suffer either way.
Jeremiah, you can try for a second time, but with no assistance and at a -1 die.
Can I use manipulation instead of charisma?
Sure.
I'm gonna surge. You get hungrier. And I'm gonna willpower. 4 successes.
Fine. For now. Bring me half of his choosing. Bring them to the river and cast them into the water. I will collect. The next time we see each other, I will be coming for you. With that,
Very well.
they back off into the river. The boats disapparate one at a time, fading into the fog. And even the river itself seems to disappear beneath the dock, leaving just the 4 of you standing upon the wooden planks that make up the dock itself.
I hate this shit. I really hate this shit.
Back to the funeral home?
Yeah, back to the goddamn funeral home.
Let's go.
The ride back to the funeral home seems longer than it should be. Because while you may have convinced the ferrymen, they are the incorporeal of the 2 individuals you have to deal with. The Giovanni, due to their independent nature, can carry a great deal of weight in the kindred society, in your society. You don't deal in the dead. Well, not completely. If anything, you contribute to the dead when you can't stop yourself. And Beau, you've done a fair amount of contributing tonight. As you pull up into the parking lot, the dull glow of the electric lamps, meant to look like candlelight, shining. You approach the door once more. Jeremiah, you push the doorbell, and moments later, the door is answered Once again by Antonio Giovanni. Back so soon. I see the matter is dealt with, I assume.
Not quite yet. We should go inside.
He frowns deeply, but steps back, holding the door open for you to enter. He leads you to the office once more, opening the doors, stepping in, gesturing to the chairs, and sitting. This time there is a tension in his otherwise relaxed posture. Well?
Jeremiah's going to take out the journal, put it before him. You can read it at your leisure, but the long and the short of it is that there was some mortal dabbler, bit off more than they could chew, summoned a psychopomp. I'm assuming that means something to you.
Yes.
No mere restless dead. And opened a gate down by the docks. Did not seem like your guidance would be very applicable in dealing with that one. It's not going to be a perfect solution, Mr. Giovanni. What he will accept is half of what you've accrued.
See his jaw set, his lips press into a hard line. Why should I give that which is mine?
Because I think, in addition to all your other talents, you're a businessman, are you not? You can either begin waging an active war with this being who is no mere wandering spirit. A war that we are not at all equipped to help you with. A war that I don't think, had any reasonable chance of succeeding tonight. And just like him, you'll need to make the choice of whether you keep something or lose everything.
You can see that he is actively scowling, but there is a bit of doubt in his mind. Go ahead and roll a charisma or manipulation and persuasion. If you want assistance, Beau, you're going to have to pitch in something here.
We were at least able to talk him into half of your choosing. So you get to choose the ones that go.
And what would you do if he demanded half of your coterie, as they should be rightfully dead in his eyes?
I would offer myself as part of the dead.
Does Beau actually believe that?
Yes.
Okay. Then you can go ahead and add the dice to the pool, or one of you can roll and the other can assist.
Do it. And does the beauty apply for this one?
It does.
I will also activate Awe. $14 with a critical.
2 criticals.
So many criticals.
He considers for a moment before turning in his chair and pulling open one of the filing cabinet drawers. He reaches in and pulls out a carved wooden box. With 14 successes with a critical, he turns and places the box on the desk. If it means that he is gone, take them all. I can always make more.
But we'll carefully take the box into their hands. Thank you kindly, Mr. Giovanni.
I am not pleased with this outcome, but I must be able to do my business. The next time you make a body, and you will make a body, the cost will be double.
Yes, sir.
Go.
Beau nod and head out.
Jeremiah will head out as well.
To take the box with you back down to the docks, opening it up, you see it is also filled with coins, but not the same coins. These are distinctly Picata coins. Taking them to the river, dumping them into the water, each coin splashing as it hits the water's surface. You can feel a release of energy, a release, almost like a gasping sensation from each coin before they are drawn into that void. And then the void almost completely disappears, the air growing warmer. You have succeeded with a cost on accomplishing your goal. Kindred politics are already sticky enough as they are. But when you add in the dead, the restless dead, it can't help but make you wonder, is immortality certain? Is this dark gift everything that it's chalked up to be? Because as the ferryman said, the next time we see each other, I'm coming for you. And he said it with such a certainty that it makes you question your very existence. Whether it's a year, 10 years, 100 years, maybe even 1,000 years from now. There are two things in this life that are inescapable: death and taxes. We now go to break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the second half of tonight's story. Welcome back. As we return, it's been several nights since the events of the docks, of the Giovanni, of the ferryman. And life goes on. You manage the bar, you do the best you can to keep a hold on Bethany, and you carry yet another secret. Now, Bethany told you she was terrified of what would happen if Jeremiah found out that he had threatened her at the graveyard, that if she killed anyone, he would make her life miserable. How does Beau feel about that knowledge and the weight of it?
There is an anger that sits in their chest. This is their sister. He's childer to take care of, not Jeremiah's. While there is a part of him that appreciates the help, this is Beau's responsibility, and that threat just adds to the the not great feelings about the dead bodies.
Everyone likes to talk about how difficult it is to be a sire, or how difficult it is to be a childer. But what's even more difficult is when you're both, as many kindred often are, and one who would potentially technically be under accounting had they not run from and used some unconventional means to break the blood bond between them and that sire. Those debts are starting to stack up. Those secrets are starting to get heavy. But as you said, she's your sister. Twin sister, no less. She's become so much more than that, if it was even possible, in now being your childer. Besides, she's young. Everyone makes mistakes. But how much in the long run could those mistakes cost? Dismissing that thought from your mind, you put your focus on what still lies ahead, instead of what is behind. Talia Saphira, Primogen of the Toreador of the Camarilla of Tampa, sire to Beau Walker, a problem to be dealt with, a thorn in your side. While plans are in motion, the confidence in those plans seems to wax and wane. You've decided to take matters slightly into your own hands by potentially trying to help the cause by reaching out to that sire. So as you look up the contact in your phone and dial, the phone rings a few times and you can feel your anxiety mount with each ring. You know the power she has. You know how convincing she can be. And even still, after everything that's happened, the thought of her can still make you melt from time to time. But eventually, the phone picks up. Well, if it isn't my prodigal child.
Howdy, Talia.
You sound different, Beau. Has something changed?
Yeah, quite a few things have changed since you last saw me. How are you doing?
Do you even care?
You know I do.
That right? I'm doing very, very well. How about yourself?
I'm managing. I want to apologize for the silence. It's been quite some time.
And you've been very busy, haven't you?
Yeah, you know how things are in society.
Well, inheriting a business is never easy. Almost starting a war, doubly so.
No, this isn't a war I didn't mean to start.
Maybe you didn't.
But you did.
You knew my price. But that's fine. You replace me, I can replace you.
What do you want to make this stop? To end this fight that ain't gonna go well for either of us.
Is that a threat, Beau?
No. It ain't a threat, it's the truth. Cam, from what I'm hearing, ain't doing too well. And you know my situation. There's no way, there's no outcome that is positive for either of us in any scenario with this war.
Spoken like somebody who already knows they're defeated. You want to be spared this war? Oh, Gene Walker, then leave. Take your childer and leave. Maybe you can start over somewhere like Nashville. I release you. But I suppose if you want to ensure there's no hostilities between us, I guess the only thing I'll need is your forgiveness and understanding. Not for what I've done, but for what I'm going to do.
And what is it that you're going to do?
find a grateful child. One who appreciates what I give them.
You know I never stopped you from taking on another child.
Because you wouldn't be jealous? We both know that's not true.
I have one question. Well, one that may lead to others, but one for now. Was I not enough to satisfy you?
I think you and I both know we're never truly satisfied. Not without doing terrible things. But as far as companionship, throughout the ages, you could have been.
First time I found you with someone else was our anniversary, Talia. Literally the day of, I came to surprise you and found you with someone else.
You never heard of an opening act before the real performance?
You knew I didn't like Sharon.
And yet I could have made another child and it would have been fine. Is that what you're saying? You're contradicting yourself, dear.
There is a difference between having a child and having sex with somebody when you're in a relationship with somebody that don't like Sharon, and that was a boundary that was set.
Oh, Jean, we are wolves that dress ourselves as sheep. What is sex? Other than a dalliance, something to pass the time. That's not where the true pleasure lies. You know where that lies. And for a while, it was only for you, until it wasn't good enough. We all have our ways of feeding, my dear. That just happens to be mine. But this is the problem with being so young. Time brings understanding.
Is that what you want? The ability to make another child?
I'm
Or
not asking permission, Beau Jean. You've made your choice, so I make mine. You don't want to come back? I'm so very lonely now. I have to do something to sate that loneliness.
What about Athame?
What about her? We have something
Doesn't
in
she
common. Ungrateful children. We're just merely comforting each other in a time of dire stress.
And what if I came back to stay, to be yours again?
What if?
Would that satisfy you, Your Highness?
I suppose a better question is, what would you give to be back in my good graces?
What would it take?
Kill the Malkavian. Bring me his ashes, or whatever you call his corpse. And I'll consider it.
Killing my friend for a consideration?
Which do you want more, Beau? You have betrayed me multiple times. I thought what we had was unique, special, just for us.
That's what I thought too.
And yet you share it with him and with her.
I don't. That's. Aside from my child, my twin, I don't have a bond with anybody.
But you almost did, didn't you? And it hasn't been a year yet. The story's not over.
It was one time out of dire desperation. It wasn't
Whose?
his.
Then relieve me of my jealousy and bring me his head.
When can I meet you?
When the act is done.
And what if I did you one better than just his head? You say you're jealous? What if I brought him to you?
You could. But I don't like to get my hands dirty if I don't have to.
I know you don't. That's
And bring
why I
him
had
to me
some.
staked.
All right. I will.
You'll understand if I take precautions. Your word only means so much these days.
I understand.
This rebellious youth, it's normal to a point. But we all have to grow up at some point, Beau. If you want to be free, be free. But if you want me, you'll have to pay the daddy tax.
I understand.
I await your decision and your delivery. But if this is a trick or a ruse, you'll have wished you left. And with that, she hangs up the phone.
As the call ends, Beau will shoot Jeremiah a text saying that they need to have a talk soon.
What's Beau's headspace with all this information, some of it not fully realized yet?
They're trying to figure out how to use this deal to their advantage. How to get Jeremiah in on it. Get them to a spot together, but with the uncertainty of what all security she'll have, what precautions she's taking. There's that measure of, do I really want to risk this?
Is there any appeal in running? Besides, you don't have just one mouth to feed anymore. You have two.
There's definitely an appeal to running away. But they have Bethany to worry about. They have their dad that they still need to get out of the cam. They have August, and they have Jeremiah. He can't just up and leave out of nowhere. He has duties and responsibilities that he needs to take. That he can't just run away from.
There are two things that are certain in life. Just so happens, they're also certain in unlife. Death and taxes. We now transition to our final scene of tonight's story. Our final scene takes place at the Extra Life, a barcade just outside of the Coterie territory. You've been here a couple of times before, Jeremiah, as this is the most common meeting place with Skeeter, the ratkin, and your contact to the wolves. There was something different about this request to meet this time. It didn't come with the jovial expletives or emojis that come with most of Skeeter's messages. No, this time he did something very unusual. He called and said that the two of you needed to talk. soon. And there was something in his voice that felt heavy, dire. And when you arrive at the Extra Life, heading to the same rental room that you've used before, you come upon a very unexpected sight. The TV is off. There's no controller in his hand. And he seems to be rocking a little bit until you enter the room, at which point he stands up immediately. Jeremiah?
Skeeter? I think a hint of that paranoia is going to come back, and he's going to open up the sense of the unseen just to see if he might be about to get jumped.
Go ahead and roll it.
Mm. Two successes.
You don't see anyone else in the room. There doesn't seem to be a presence. Hey, have a seat. We gotta talk about some things.
Okay. He'll sit down.
First off, I want to say I'm sorry for what I'm about to tell you, but I want you to know there was nothing crazy. Well, I mean, I guess it was crazy what happened, but it also was a possibility considering the whole circumstance. Valentina's dead.
What?
Apparently the blood or whatever it is you do wore off, and she aged a lot. Like a lot.
That doesn't make any sense. She was 30.
Hey, I'm only going off of what I know. Don't shoot the messenger in this case. They said they came in to feed her for the morning and they found an old dead lady. Like really old, like probably 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot in the nursing home old.
That doesn't make any sense at all. She's dead.
Yeah. And I'm not fooling you. I'm not pulling your leg. There's no trickery here. The wolves, they've even said they're gonna return the body to you guys to do whatever it is you'd like to do with it.
No. We don't need it.
Sure. They're trying to be really good about this whole thing, and they're not trying to start shit.
Getting rid of bodies isn't the easiest thing in the world.
I'm gonna take your word for that one. That's not something we find ourselves doing too often.
Fair. I don't either, for the most part. But occupational hazard. I believe you. I believe you that this wasn't anything. It just doesn't make any sense.
I hadn't seen it for myself. I would have also thought something maybe foul was afoot, but I saw her and it was her. She was in the clothing, she was everything, and there wasn't any signs of violence. And I believe them when they tell me these things.
Can you give me a minute, man?
Yeah. Take as long as you like. I'm gonna grab something from the bar. Do you want anything? Oh, sorry. I'll give you a second.
Yes, but nothing they serve here.
Understood. He gets up and heads out of the room, closing the door behind him to give you a moment.
I'm gonna try and cry.
Okay. Go ahead and make me a rouse check.
Unchanged.
Doesn't take much effort. Honestly, it's a natural emotion, and kindred being what they are, they still have access to those things, but there is a little bit of exert of will that comes with it, a little bit of exert of the blood. So as the red tears slowly start to fall, welling up in your eyes, almost coloring your vision in that same liquidy red, all of those thoughts come back, all of those memories when you met, your first time going to the bar, the formation of your coterie. And while it didn't seem like you had nearly enough time together, it never does. Not when we're grieving. We can only think about what we could have done, what we should have done, what we wish we had done, and all the missed opportunities. Maybe if she'd taken you up on her offer, on your offer to become your childer. Maybe if she'd just stayed home. Maybe if she hadn't become a ghoul at all. Although that breeds its own questions. Because while you haven't had a lot of exposure to the ghouling or de-ghouling process, as most ghouls don't get to see that opportunity, it does breed a lot of questions. Old? Like you said, she was 30. She would have aged a little bit, maybe gotten some crow's feet, but otherwise she should have been fine. So what does this mean? Did she lie? Had she been lying the whole time? Or did she just not know better? Either one is possible. The ghouls of certain kindred take on the features of that kindred, and if there's anything you can say about the Lasombra, they are very secretive and very tricky. And while it's a thought you don't like to have, the thought does enter into your mind. These two won't have to negotiate for her release. You shove that thought out immediately, feeling almost guilty at first, but the strategist inside of you can't help it.
He's gonna take out a pocket square, clean himself off. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. He's gonna try and think. He's gonna think about what the fuck is wrong with Athame. Even that doesn't make sense. Unless she's been lying, which about her age, she couldn't have had a 90-year-old ghoul. He'll stand and go to the door and give it a knock, and then plop back down on the couch.
Door opens a moment later, and Skeeter walks in carrying a small basket of buffalo wings and a seltzer. And he flops down on the couch next to you.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, of course. It's not the way I wanted to start any kind of meetings, but I figured it was best to just be upfront about it and not let it catch you by surprise. I contacted you as soon as I knew.
Yeah, no, you did me a solid, man.
They still want to meet? They're still open to the idea?
Yeah, well, I don't suppose her dying wipes away her offense.
No. Honestly, no. But in their mind, she wanted this. She wanted to be free. Now I think both you and I know that's bullshit.
Yeah, she asked for help, man.
They weren't treating her terribly.
I know. I know. I believe that when I talked to her that they were treating her as well as they could in that situation, but still, it's captivity. And maybe she knew what was going to happen.
Maybe.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, they want to meet. I mean, I definitely still want to for multiple reasons.
Well, it's going to be a few more weeks. Things are kind of hectic right now. I don't know if you've been checking the news, but there's been some shit happening in the city lately.
Yeah. Some kind of riot or vandalism?
Yeah, protests are getting violent, I guess. Word on the street is that people have had enough.
Well, I can understand that. I haven't heard about that being anything on our end of things.
Well, they're looking into it, and it's keeping their hands full, so you'll have to forgive them if it takes a little bit longer before they can have a meeting.
I get it. Maybe I'll look around, see if there's anything I can find about it, because, that's a problem for everybody.
Truly is. Plus, it'd be a feather in your cap to bring some answers to them where they might not have any.
Yeah. So I have a question.
Shoot.
Maybe something you can help me out with. Do you know who it is I'm going to be talking with?
Yes. You're likely going to be talking to their head honcho. They're a lawyer, so, get ready for everything that entails.
Boy.
Name of Aspen.
Aspen. Okay.
She's a shrewd negotiator. Let's just put it that way.
Wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I'd be dumb if I didn't try and look into her, but I'm sure there's only so much in public information.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get anything too of value from those routes. They do their due diligence like your kind do to just keep that under wraps. It drives me crazy sometimes how alike you all are, but how much you hate each other. It's almost like you're taking out what you hate in yourselves on the other.
I don't hate them.
I mean, you're kind, but yeah. I hear you.
I mean, other than the, looming existential threat, they took out two big problems for me and mine. And what you said about them, the whole environmentalism thing, I got nothing to say about that. That's great.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes a little bit deeper than that. Environmentalism, sure, that's a part of it, but I think it's the idea of death and decay and rot unnecessarily beyond the norm is what really bothers them, and the way you guys eat. It's kind of the natural order of things, and no offense, but you're not natural. I don't consider myself natural either, so you're in good company, but...
Yeah. I mean, I can't find good fault at that other than, what am I going to do? Kill myself?
I think in the mind of most wolves, yeah, ideally so. Save them the hassle. Not necessarily this group of wolves, but overall, I'm sure it'd be in their mind.
It's just not reasonable. Ah, jeez, man. All right, well, I guess let me know when it can happen.
I will. And bit of advice, if you're open to it.
Oh, always.
Be honest about what you're trying to do here. Don't try to obscure the fact of what you are. It's going to be in the front of their mind the entire time. But if you can prove that your usefulness outweighs the detriment of keeping you around. One thing I can say about Aspen and the Wolves is they understand value. And that they also, much like you, have bigger fish to fry than this. But if you could fry those fish together, you can make one hell of a meal.
That is kind of how I live my life, or at least I try to.
Get some intel about the leeches of the area. Bring as much as you can forward that could benefit them. And I mean, I know how negotiations go. You don't give away everything, but if you have enough to have some backstock, you might be able to sweeten the deal. Whereas if you come empty-handed, what good is it?
I got some cards to play.
Well, I'll let you keep those cards.
Appreciate it.
How's my friend doing? Have they made themselves apparent yet?
In a way. I mean, they're doing very good at hiding, but they've got a nut habit, man.
In more ways than you know.
Interesting.
She's still young, and she is going through a certain phase in her life where she... Yeah.
You know, I can relate. Not personally, that happened a while ago, but I'm sure it hasn't gone beyond notice that we have our own teenage fuck up around.
It has not gone beyond notice, I will say that much. And boy, just make sure you're not rabbits, because if you are, then I can't save you from that. That's a whole other mess.
I, for one, never plan on making one. It is a hassle and a curse that I don't want to put on anyone else.
They would prefer there's less of you than more.
Yeah, I know.
So, just bear that in mind. I think we can consider this one a wash since everything that happened, but
yeah,
just be careful. That's very sensitive ground you're walking on, and that's not exactly going to win their favor.
I get it.
Thank you for understanding and being cool about the whole thing. I was not looking forward to telling you, but if there was one of you that I was going to tell, it was going to be you because you got seemingly a good head on your shoulders.
I understand your part in it. There's a lot I don't understand, but...
Well, if I can't answer anything, I will.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, for everything we knew, she was, you know, a total of 30 years, give or take.
Did you trust her?
Before she pulled this shit? Yeah. After, not so much.
Well, then from the sounds of it, the only one who will know is the one who made her. And do you care enough to find out for sure?
If I can make use of it. Thanks for letting me know, man. And sorry if I'm not in the mood to...
No, I wasn't expecting a long, fun hang in Mortal Kombat and all that. I just, I'm trying to keep, I think we're of a like mind, and we want the same thing, which is for everything to chill the fuck out and for us to kind of figure it out a little bit.
Yeah, that is pretty much my agenda, man.
Plus, we know where the big evils are, and those need to be dealt with before we can even talk about cohabitating and coexistence.
I'm sure neither of us know the half of it.
Nope. Anyway,
there's stuff we can collaborate on.
For sure. I got the room for a couple of hours if you need to just process, but I'm gonna leave you to it so that well, we can keep rolling along.
Yeah. I'm good. I got stuff to do.
All
Like
right.
they say, idle hands, devil's playground and all.
Too bad you can't masturbate anymore.
Jesus Christ, dude, come on.
Hey, that's how I keep these mitts from being idle.
If my mother heard this conversation, she would say that's exactly what the devil wants.
Thank God she's not.
Yeah.
Take it easy. I'll be in touch.
You too.
With that, Skeeter takes his wings and his drink and heads out of the room. What are Jeremiah's thoughts about this news and everything moving forward? What does this mean for his path that he had so carefully laid out before that seems to just be constantly changing?
There's a lot of grief, no small amount of guilt. But the strategist still has his presence. Can't help but be grateful for not having to play any cards to get her out. But he's gonna miss her. Even after everything, he's gonna miss her. And he's gonna do what he can to get some payback on her behalf.
Death and grief are intimately tied. Because grief takes a variety of forms, whether it's regret for things that could have been done or disappointment over what hasn't come to pass, what won't ever come to pass. Even the dead can still hate death. And it's one of the strangest juxtapositions of being a kindred. Because you will watch everything you love and know die. And that's what eats away at your humanity. That's what starts that descent into becoming the monster you constantly avoid being, but inherently are, just by your very existence. This is where our story comes to a close, but not without 2 more scenes. The first of our final scenes takes place aboard a boat that bobs along a spectral river. An old woman looks to the shore as it further disappears into the distance. Her memories are a jumbled mess that won't ever fully, truly become realized, because when your mind's been manipulated as many times as Valentina Ramos's has been, it's like a shattered vase, just pieces, all upon the ground. But she doesn't leave this world with regret or resentment, but with relief. Because she gets to move on. She gets to see what lies beyond. And there's no vengeance to be held. Just peace. And as that ship sails and the world fades away to be replaced by the endless darkness of the Shadowlands, off upon a distant shore lies a city. The city of the dead. And the oblivion that goes beyond. And with that touch of oblivion washing over her, Valentina Ramos smiles. Because while others may have been afraid of the beyond, she's been exposed to it for so long that there's nothing to be afraid of. In our second scene, we see the glow of a computer screen, the tapping of keys as windows open, as a hunt is on. The hunt is for a hacker that has infiltrated a certain bank's records and systems. And as the individual at the keyboard types, they quickly source, locate, and eliminate the access point and the individual within their files, because they are extremely good at what they do. They should be. They got a master's degree in cybersecurity for this very reason. A knock at the door causes them to scoot back from their desk and approach the front door. They have these rugged good looks in an almost questionable, smarmy way, a very Johnny Depp feel and exterior. That trimmed goatee, the blue framed glasses from being exposed to so many computer monitors over the last many years. A little bit of a shag to their hair, a little bit of bedhead since they're able to work from home. As they approach the door and open it, grabbing their wallet, expecting to pay for the pizza that they ordered, they stare out at the individual standing on the porch and just say, "Dad?" And that's where our scene comes to a close. Thank you so much to these amazing players. Thank you to everybody watching at home. Go follow St. Pete by Night on all of that social media listed down below, and join our community by following the Discord link, where you can join more than 100 other World of Darkness denizens to discuss the business, as well as all other kind of nerddom and fandom and fun. So come join us by following that Discord link. But if you really, really like what you saw here and what you've seen before, go sign up for a Ko-fi, because it does support this channel, this program, and this community, and it really, really benefits us more than you know. And you get access to all kinds of behind-the-scenes featurettes like the Rosebud Thorns for this very session. So go sign up for the Ko-fi for as low as $5 a month. It really, really does help us out. But for these amazing players, I'm Kent. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.